Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I'm your host and superior webhead master, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, is your resident Green Lantern professor, Travis Grossman.
I was just at the store and forgot to get more soda, so you get a bottle open instead.
We love a bottle open. We love the sound of drink containers opening for us at the top of a show from one Travis Grossman. We have some. I think we got a decent lineup of news for you guys this week. Mostly some trailer talk. Y'all know what we're talking about. Very fun stuff that I'm very excited to get into. I felt like I was missing something, but I didn't get the hey, I added something from Travis at the top of the whenever we got into the room. So I think I'm on it for once. So didn't miss any big stories.
Missed. Oh, Long Halloween's out, part 1.
Oh, it is. I couldn't remember the release for that, and I thought there was going to be some big. We will probably review both parts as one episode. Probably. That'd probably be the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
When does part 2 come out? Do we know?
Sometime in July.
Yeah. Fingers crossed it's before camp, and then that can be like a little camp bonus episode we can throw out.
I think it might actually be just after camp.
Son of a bitch. Okay. I got hopeful and no dice. But we are going to jump into our first story, and that is a new trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
July 27th. Darn.
Travis, thoughts on this new trailer for Shang-Chi? Because I was excited for this. This was because it's a Marvel movie, so I was sold from the beginning. But I've now crossed the threshold of I'm excited because it's a Marvel movie into I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it looks good. There's a dragon in it. That's pretty cool. I like me some dragons. I like me some fisticuffs. The rings look weird, but neat.
I like that they're armbands in a weird way. I don't know why. Just aesthetically, I feel like it works better
for
the purposes here.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I just watched both trailers that we're talking about 5 minutes ago. I didn't.
They're fresh.
Watch them. Yeah, I didn't watch them when they came out. I kind of forgot they existed. And then I looked in the notes. I was like, oh, right. There were trailers today or this week. Neat. And then I watched the Shang-Chi trailer and I went, neat.
I'm really liking it. I'm sorry. I didn't speak over you, buddy.
No, you're fine. I think the solo movies really hit. They just scratched that itch. We're the fourth event, Avengers is cool, and the third Iron Man is cool. I love those movies, but Doctor Strange and Black Panther and all the cool one-offs we got towards the end were always just really cool in their own way. I don't know. I'm excited.
If the level of this is why I never wear the Audio Technicas. It is so over. The sound quality is so good that it is slightly overwhelming. The Tascams were being stupid, so I had to put on the Technicas. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, and especially going into Shang-Chi with I don't know how to put it because it's not like there's been a difference in quality with the MCU TV. I think it's just that we're getting the same level of quality, but as you would have it with a TV show, it's just I don't know. I think maybe after a year, I like stopped taking the MCU for granted, and now we're back to it being just the, oh yeah, let's go. Like I'm ready to put all of this in my veins.
It's still weird that we're getting Black Widow
In like a week. Yeah. Practically a week. Yeah. We got not a whole lot of time before that's out. And like I said, we'll have the review out as soon as we can because camp. I love this. I love the aesthetics of it. I love Shang-Chi's like his just general vibe in the trailer. Just the way that very like, well, here I am type energy when dealing with the Mandarin. Visually it looks stunning. The brief glimpses of the fight choreography, it looks like we're getting look incredible. Really, really, really excited as to where the Abomination versus Wong factor's going to play into the movie. And I was not aware, like, obviously Abomination's hard to miss. I didn't realize that was specifically Wong.
I didn't know it was Wong either.
Yeah,
I only knew that was Abomination because I saw people talking about it on Twitter. Like, I saw what Abomination being in the trailer means, and I was like, Abomination's in the Shang-Chi trailer? Cool. But, like, I even backed it up watching the trailer. I'm like, he looks kind of fishy.
He does, because they went to his like comic accurate look where he has like fins on the side of his head and whatnot.
I'm glad I'm not crazy though. That I thought that, again, like 15 minutes ago, I was like, he looks like a fish.
Yeah, they gave him the face fins because this is the era of comic book movies that we live in, where doing Abomination in 2008, 2009 means that he has to be dookie green and just look like an uglier version of the Hulk. Where now it's like, yeah, no, he's a fish man. He's a giant fish Hulk.
Now I just see the live action Doomsday with a bone beard.
Yeah.
The way God intended.
Yeah. I hope we get Bone Beard Doomsday one day. But no, I absolutely love this. This is this is everything I want from this movie. This is becoming really interesting. I saw a little bit of speculation, and from what I understand, the either the writer or the director of Legend of the Ten Rings went on record and said that the dragon we see at the end is not Fin Fang Foom.
Interesting.
Yes, but there was a toy leak on a Funko Pop that was something to the effect of like the Great Guardian. So I think that. So that shot where they're standing in front of the like that lake or whatever, and across the way there's like a glowing red door almost.
I think so.
I think when they're trying to get over there, Shang-Chi has to, I don't want to say confront, because I feel like the dragon is a friendly dragon.
He has to ride the dragon.
Yeah. He will ride the eyes of the dragon and then tell us who he thinks he is. There's a little bit of deep lore for you guys who have been along the way. But I think that we're going to see the dragon in that moment. I also saw a fun detail pointed out that in that final like magic lockup between Shang-Chi and the Mandarin, where it looks like the Mandarin's magic is more blue, and the energy projection from Shang-Chi's like that gold, that there's like one nugget of gold on the Mandarin side and one nugget of blue on Shang-Chi's side. That I just thought was neat, that like they're trying to pull the other one. And like the color grading, I also noticed there's like the fact that a lot of the stuff with his mother is kind of framed in that gold light, and a lot of the stuff of the Mandarin has that has like that blue wash to it. So like there's already some fun color theory stuff going on with this movie that I'm really invested in. And it's a little stuff like that you got me. when you're playing with like color symbolism and you're taking time for stuff like that to matter, you've already won me over by a huge margin. Do I sound okay coming through? Like I said, like these are okay.
You sound fine.
I hate how I sound in these. These are my least favorite headphones to use. You and Joel always like, they're the best sounding one. They're too good. They're too good sounding. They overwhelm me a little bit. But our other trailer to talk about this week, we also had a new trailer for the Suicide Squad. Travi, thoughts?
Project Starfish. Bird. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Bird.
I really like the way that they're completely going with the comic book stuff with Bloodsport. With the whole he shot Superman thing. I really like that's the direction they're going in. And I'm hoping it's not a trick of editing. That shot we see at the very beginning of the trailer of him standing in rubble and then reaching for his gun to shoot somebody. Obviously, we're not going to... I will be absolutely dumbfounded if Henry Cavill shows up in this. He will not. There will not be a Henry Cavill Superman appearance here. I would not be surprised if we saw Superman from the back or from like the chest down, like we did in Shazam. I'm hoping that is not a trick of editing, and we're not seeing the finale where Bloodsport's pinned down and he's reaching for his gun during the fight with Starro. But I hope that's from the beginning and we see him shoot Superman. Mm-hmm. Like I just hope we get to see it. And again, like you shoot him from the like have him not like the shoot like the bullet, but shoot whomever is standing in as Superman from the back, and all you need is just the loop with the hair and red cape flopping, and then gunshot falls down. That's all you need, So I don't know. I love that little comic book nugget there. King Shark is adorable. Weasel is a proud
killed 27 children.
Weasel is a proud graduate of the Anakin Skywalker Academy of Child Care, and I respect him for it. I think the grossest shot I think I've ever seen in a movie trailer ever is Harley Quinn being rescued by a bunch of completely submerged wet rats. That didn't quite do it for me. That was just a gross thing to look at. But I get it. I'm trying to think about what else. Already Viola Davis is killing it as Waller. Like we got 30 seconds of her as Waller, and it's already remembering why she's one of the best things about a not great movie. In my opinion, like Batman v Superman is a not great movie with some great stuff in it. Like there's moments of potent.
We can agree to disagree
on the fact that I lumped it in with Batman v Superman on that, or that there's not great stuff in Suicide Squad.
That there's great stuff in BVS.
Valid. But either way,
BVS is ruined for me by its content. Suicide Squad is greatly ruined for me by the editing.
Fair.
Like that, like BVS to me is an unwatchable movie because it makes me violently angry. Suicide Squad's unwatchable to me because it literally gives you motion sickness because of how choppy some of the editing is. Like it gives you whiplash.
I will say that is one of the most that might be some of the most fun I've ever had seeing a movie with you, though. Like it's up there. Speaking of seeing a movie with you, before I forget, last night when I came home from work, I was not tired at all. I was just wired, and I decided I was going to because I didn't have my Xbox One with me, so I couldn't get started on Valhalla. So I decided to play a little bit more of Obi-Wan because I'm doing my yearly replay of that game in chunks. And I got to the mission where I save Queen Amidala on Naboo, and I always forget that the game just very hilariously omits Jar Jar Binks completely, because you get to the point where it's like I would have encountered Jar Jar by now, and he's nowhere to be found. But it's the scene where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan come down from the little bridge to swarm the Federation, and Qui-Gon's talking about, I'll get them from the front and I'll distract them and you'll take them from behind. And he says, "We'll use a classic pincer tactic." And he said pincer, and I almost called you. I want you to know that, like, had it not been like 1 a.m, you would have gotten a phone call just to tell you that, like, he
Qui-Gon's
said
part
pincer.
of Tenet.
Huh?
Qui-Gon's part of Tenet.
Qui-Gon. We live in a twilight world, Obi-Wan. But anyway, I almost forgot. He said pincer movement, and I had to tell you. But yeah, I'm really excited for the Suicide Squad. I don't. How do I put this? I know for a fact that Spider-Man: No Way Home is already my most anticipated movie. But because we've seen nothing from it yet, like with the exception of those 3 stills and the title, we've gotten nothing from No Way Home. And I think part of that is I don't think Sony knows how to market this movie. I don't know how much they actually. I think there's a part of them that is like, oh, well, let's just hold the 3 Spider-Men back. And there's another part of it that's like, well, that's kind of the selling point, isn't it? So I think they might be trying to figure out what exactly the right tactic is there. I also won't be surprised if the No Way Home trailer is only a week or so away and it ends up attached to Black Widow. Or the Eternals, but I feel like the Eternals is like too late. I think we'll get a trailer attached to the Eternals. But I will be...
Maybe even Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that comes out in the same month. I still think just one trailer, like trailer, like the fact that we don't have a teaser yet, I would be stunned if we only got one, which is kind of what they did for the Rise of Skywalker, really, because we got like the initial teaser at Star Wars Celebration, and then they gave us one trailer a month and a half before the movie came out. And part of me is curious if that is going to stay the case. Like obviously, comparing it just because it's Disney, there's 2 different, outfits operating under Disney. I would be stunned if that's the route they take with No Way Home, just because there's so much there. But right now, like Shang-Chi and Suicide Squad, like those are kind of my big ones right now. Like, I'm looking forward to just the tone of Suicide Squad, and Legend of the Ten Rings just has that, like, it's that, oh, this is so cool, and it's made cooler by the fact that it's happening in the MCU. Mm-hmm. It was kind of the same thing with WandaVision, where it's like, this is so cool and so weird and so neat, and it's canon to the MCU. It's canon to this franchise. Oh my God. So yeah. That's all we have on that front. Other fun news here. We have official confirmation from Mr. James Wan that Aquaman 2 has begun shooting, with a fun little Easter egg that may point towards what we will be seeing in the movie. We see that they're shooting. We see, a cold, glacial area, and the working title is Necris. Necris is, of course, now we also, and this is a story we missed a couple weeks ago, but the subtitle of the movie is going to be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And the fact that the working title is Necris would make sense. That is the black city that the underwater city that kind of appears and reappears throughout like Aquaman lore, and the leader of the city, Mongo, who is already one of the rumored villains who runs Necris. So a little bit of connection there might be tipping their hand a little bit. Also, a quickie story here that we can blast through real quick. Nothing too detailed, just that Knives Out 2 has officially begun production in Greece as well. Two more news stories. What was that?
I just said cool.
Two more stories for you before we get into our Loki review. One moment. It's loading. Okay, cool. Michael Waldron, head writer and executive producer of Loki, who is also penning the script, or penned, say that in the past tense now, the script for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, sat down with Sci-Fi Wire, and they had a conversation. He is describing Multiverse of Madness as a thrill ride, the first overt MCU horror flick. So they really are committing to that idea. And I also think really putting to rest the whole Scott Derrickson left because he couldn't make a real horror movie narrative, because I don't think that's true. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I think by all accounts, I don't think we'll ever truly know what the creative differences were.
I think we know that's the case just because they brought on Sam Raimi, you know? Like,
they brought Raimi on. I also think that the fact that Derrickson stayed on as an executive producer isn't a bad omen there for his involvement with the movie. But like I said, Waldron said, it's a thrill ride. It's a thrill ride with heart, like you'd expect from a Sam Raimi superhero movie. Sam's a genius, and the way he moves the camera is really exciting. He's not afraid to take chances. I think it's going to be a really cool experience for everybody. Unable to give specific plot details, the writer said he was excited by, quote, all the cool sci-fi and fantasy stuff you can do with Doctor Strange. Taking the same approach he used for Loki, Waldron asked himself, how can you go deeper into the character of Stephen Strange? This is a guy who's been through a lot in the last several years. What effect does that have on somebody so powerful? That's exciting. And beyond that, he's just a great adventurer. A great adventure hero you just want to watch kick ass. In addition to providing deeper understanding of the Sorcerer Supreme, Waldron also had to work Wanda Maximoff into the story, fresh off her magical experiences in Westview. The Scarlet Witch will have a greater grasp on her terrifying abilities thanks to the Darkhold. As we're seeing in Loki, the multiverse is in critical danger of ripping apart at the seams due to her status as an incredibly powerful Nexus being. Wanda is one of the few heroes who can help rectify the situation. Let's just hope she's on Steven's side. Waldron explained that he made sure to treat Wanda's character, quote, with reverence while writing the Multiverse of Madness script. As I think you had to, because WandaVision was so good and we were making Doctor Strange as WandaVision was releasing, he said. I had conversations with Jack Schaefer, the head writer and the executive producer of WandaVision, and really collaborated with her on the next chapter and working with Lizzie Olsen as well as to make sure that we were doing justice to the character. So you've got to honor what came before it and also be bold with your own choices and just trust that you're doing something cool. I also just want to take a sidebar here and say that I think it is adorable the way that everybody who has worked with Elizabeth Olsen calls her Lizzie. I think that is very wholesome and adorable. Waldron's collaboration with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige won't end with Loki or Multiverse of Madness. In January of this year, it was confirmed that the writer had been tapped to write a mysterious Star Wars project for Kevin Feige and Lucasfilm, which is announced in November of 2019. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have on that front. The rest of it is talking about his Star Wars project. So, interesting stuff hearing from him. Very happy to hear that by the sound of it, that Sam Raimi aesthetic that Sam Raimi's style is very much going to be a part of Multiverse of Madness. And the way that if I'm being honest, there was one concern I've had about not Doctor Strange being in it, obviously, but about Scarlet Witch, is that in the same way that I think eventually some people just like the way certain writers handle certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the way Jack Schaefer writes Wanda. And I was afraid there would be like a little bit of a disconnect there. But by the sound of it, knowing that Jack Schaefer has been involved and she has her fingerprints on the script as well, makes me happy. Speaking of WandaVision, Travis, how much have you heard about this story?
It was a lens flare all along. That's what I.
Oh, that was your thing. Okay. So you don't think it's like a...
No. First of all, I can't even see like what it is people are pointing out. I have not been able to actually pick it out yet.
Okay, I have it pulled up, and I'm going to screen share it for our video watchers. We're going to put it in there. Audio listeners, I'm sorry. I am going to pull it up. I'm going to read from this article to describe what has been changed, and then I will show you what people are pointing out. Now,
so I know about the music. The music thing's legitimate, right?
Yeah, like it's they put Giacchino's like Doctor Strange theme, Michael Giacchino. So, WandaVision has changed its post-credit scene on Disney Plus. The main purpose of the scene remains intact, seeing Wanda Maximoff as a Scarlet Witch exploring her powers with the magic within the Darkhold, but something outside the cabin has been updated. It is not clear when or why this change was made, and if it is relevant to the story taking place in the MCU. Outside of the cabin, when the camera flies into the cabin in the valley, there are trees on the peninsula. Those trees have been changed around a bit. Above them, there is some sort of object or mirror or reflection, which seems to be levitating downward toward the cabin. The theories on this one are endless. To start with, it might be a meaningless update. I'm going to put this in the McClunky theory. It's very strange to imagine that Disney Plus re-uploaded a new version of WandaVision's final episode to include this small change for no reason. It is indeed an intentional, if it is indeed an intentional change. For the sake of speculation, it would seem Doctor Strange could be making his way to Wanda's cabin in this new version, as the character was originally intended for an appearance in the series, and Elizabeth Olsen is bringing her Scarlet Witch straight from WandaVision to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This change, with or without Strange arriving, could be playing along with the story unfolding on Loki. The Disney Plus series saw Sophie DiMartino's Sylvie wreak havoc on the sacred timeline in the MCU and appeared to launch an outright multiverse of worlds where things are happening differently in parallel timelines. Phase Zero on Twitter has a good breakdown of it with the full video there. So I am going to turn on this screen share.
There it goes.
Okay, cool. There we are. So I am going to hop over to Disney Plus. And okay, so it's piracy blocking me. That's cool. Didn't think it was actually going to hit me with that. So I'm going to get that out of the way. Okay, so it's not going to let me show you. So, damn. It's going to kill the screen share then. I didn't think that was going to work. So, if you want to try to pull it up on your phone or something, it is at the 45-minute mark. If you look, I'm going to let it play on my side, so if you guys can hear the sound and can't see it, unfortunately, my apologies. So when it starts to get in really close, if you turn on the subtitles, it'll be about when it says birds chirping. You want to watch up near the tree line. Like there's clearly something translucent floating down past or through the trees. Like they're like the trees going down the mountain, not the ones that look like they've been added.
That's absolutely it. That's a CG screw up. That's a lens screw up.
If it weren't for the fact that they were adding credit for the Doctor Strange theme, like it's just so prominent that like
yeah, that's a mess up.
You so you think it's just a flub?
I looked up on YouTube trying to find like the comparisons. Still couldn't tell the difference. I find like finally, because you pointed to where I needed to look and stuff, could finally see it. Everyone in those comments on those videos was just like in detailed explanation, like here's how they screwed this up and here's why it looks like that. Because it doesn't look like it's an object floating down the trees. It looks like it's something stuck to the lens of the camera. And it looks like it's moving because the camera's moving.
Interesting.
That's how it looks to me.
Okay.
Like, it's not attached to anything in the background. It's stuck on the lens of the camera, and it's moving down as the camera moves in. Yeah, I think it's just a mess up with the trees a little bit.
Okay. I'm still very curious as to why they added trees. Listen, this isn't the Star Wars show, but I'm not the type of person who throws a temper tantrum over the special editions. My only issues have ever been that the CGI Jabba looked bad when they first tried to do it, and the Greedo shooting first made Han look weird. I didn't care that Han didn't shoot first. I cared that he went like that. And how stupid that looked. I did that forgetting I had earrings and it almost got them stuck inside of my headphones. So that said, the fact that the special editions are mostly just George Lucas adding and changing really weird things for seemingly no reason absolutely confuses me. And the fact that like it feels like we're getting a McClunky and like Obi-Wan's weird screech at the Tusken Raiders for the MCU.
Yeah, I think they just tried to touch up the CG of the trees and they screwed up and didn't do it quite right, which happens,
Yeah. It's not the end of the world. It's just like,
I mean, like when the show aired and the scene came out, I was like, I think we were seeing from first person Doctor Strange landing at the doorway, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that that's what that's supposed to be. I think it's a
funny mess up. Like it's just one of those, like, again, like, why are we adding trees? Why are we?
No, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, it was big enough that people started talking about it, Yeah,
and that's the thing is, I don't think we don't have like I don't think anybody has any idea as to when exactly this goofed up version of the episode came into existence. Like, how long has it been like this? Because it wasn't like that for the airing of the original episode. I've seen comparisons where, like, again, like the trees going up to the cabin are completely different. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like that's all changed. But why? Why add trees? I don't get it. Again, it's putting extra rocks. It's putting extra rocks in front of R2 in A New Hope. What is the point? Either way. But yeah, funny little nugget there. Hearing the explanation, I liked the idea that maybe it was like Strange astrally projecting himself to try to find her. But the way you're explaining it, it's probably not that, and probably wasn't to begin with, but still, fun little piece of MCU trivia now. There's a weird mess up.
So there is always the chance that they redid the scene, like they're going to reuse it in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And they redid it and they replaced it so that it matches in the new version, and they just screwed it up when they did the new version, right?
That's true. That's very
To
possible.
like add the music and stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting, Again, I want to. The next time Jack Schaefer or anybody sits down for an interview, I want so badly for someone to be like, "What was the point of this? Why did this happen?" I want the answer as to why. No, we could ever get a straight answer out of George Lucas. Other than better represents my original vision, or it's like, yes, those extra 3 rocks, and that horrible, late '90s era CGI dewback are all integral to the story of A New Hope. But anyway, that is all we have for news this week, ladies and germs. So we're moving on to some Loki talk. And I really enjoyed this episode, and people who are calling it filler, I think, are incorrect.
I haven't seen any of the discourse about it online. I watched it 2 days ago. I liked it. I thought it was neat. I wouldn't say it's... You can't... that's the thing, though. You can't have filler in a show that you don't know the whole story for yet.
Precisely.
Right?
Very rarely can you go oh, they're killing time with a show that is ongoing like this. And I don't know.
Now, in contrast, I said that about Titans when Titans was airing, right? Where I went oh, this is just because they didn't have anything to put here. I've said it, it's easier, I think, with cable television. Stuff that has 23 episode runs, but the story they wrote only lasts 10. So we need 13 other episodes to slot in between the main story beats.
Yeah, and I think again, just by I think there are some shows that earn a little bit more trust on that matter. I trust a 6-episode likely mini-series to lean on filler less than a 24-episode show that runs for half a year every year for 5 years. In the same way that, again, making another Star Wars comparison, last year whenever the Clone Wars was coming out, everybody kept calling the Martez sister arc filler, and it was no, you're able to not like something, and it still not be filler. And people were like, oh, it's filler. It's not filler. The whole point of the episode is Ahsoka realizing she's not the only one who's become disillusioned with the Jedi. Same thing here, where it's this is Loki and Sylvie bonding. This is them realizing how they're both very different people, but the elements of them that remain the same across these different timelines. And I don't understand how you can look at this episode and call it filler. If the episode had ended with them making it right back to the TVA, it was then maybe. If they get back to the TVA and the second they get back, they're trying to kill each other, within seconds, maybe I'd call the episode filler then. But because then it's okay, well, the character development didn't really mean much. And now they're back and they made it off the planet. Cool. Lamentus 1, I believe they said it was. So if they make it off and whatever happens, then okay, maybe it was a little bit of fillery and they just wanted to give Sophie DiMartino and Tom Hiddleston time to just act their asses off. But it doesn't. It very, very much ends with the sacred timeline being maintained and them just watching their one avenue off the planet, go up in flames. And it's at that point where me personally, as a viewer, as somebody who didn't know what to expect from Loki to begin with, and kind of like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where I had that, oh, here are all my predictions, here's everything I think is going to happen. And within the first 2 episodes, all of it happened. Right? That now I'm like, okay, like my hands are up in the air because you beat me to it. Episode 1, I'm like, okay, female Loki, maybe something's going on with the timekeepers. Episode 2 rolls around, we have female Loki, we have a plot against the timekeepers. You and I were both wrong. He meant what he was saying, it looks like, when he was trying to turn Sylvie to the darker side or whatever. So like we have all of that laid out bare, and now they're stranded on this planet that's, you know, about having its doomsday. I love that I have no idea what's coming next. Like I can't even try to speculate as to what happens next. I have no clue how they make it off of Lamentus 1. I have no clue if they're a unified front. They, in my opinion, in a fun way, the show kind of did what Loki referenced in like the beginning of the second episode, where he does his whole, like, the first thing about being a trickster is that everybody knows you're a trickster. So all your tricks have to be based around the preface that you're a trickster and da-da-da-da-da. Where I feel like the easy out with this show is that no, actually the TVA is evil. Right? And that's an obvious pick. For it's like, oh no, like you just have it be the bad guy was your best friend all along, blah, blah, blah. Final boss fight with Owen Wilson. He goes, wow, and then he falls down, right? Here, I like that they go, oh, the TVA are the bad guys after pushing us so hard in the direction of Sylvie. That it kind of has that trickster of the show going, we know we were the obvious villain. So we gave you a villain for us to be the obvious villain anyway. That was really smart, in my opinion. Or at the very least, not the villain, but flagrantly dishonest with how things are going on. I've been talking for a minute, Travis. Oh, give the floor to you, sir.
I mean, I've stopped trying to make sense and dictate how I think the show is going to go. I mean, we know my predictions are never right. I don't say that to be self-deprecating. Like, it's just by the numbers. I'm never right. But, you know, and I think that's the difference, though, is I trust Marvel enough that I'm not going to be disappointed in what's going on. And, like, I don't need to try to figure it out for myself, that, like, I'm just going to enjoy what's coming to me. I liked this episode in the sense that, like, I enjoyed the protagonist and antagonist are, you know, handcuffed and they have to do the thing, right?
Love that. I always, like, those are one of those, like, I saw it in every show I watched as a kid, and it's one of those tropes.
It's always the best episode. It's always one of the best episodes.
Is it just me, or have we not seen something like that in a long time?
I feel like we just haven't watched a lot of TV in a while.
That might be true as well.
Right? Like, I was watching the CW stuff where they were all in, like, season 4 to 8 or whatever, and it's like, you're not going to do that episode in that season. You're going to do it the first season with the first villain. And that's it.
That's fair. But no, yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's a great trope. I like seeing Loki not be the most competent, you know, galaxy brain villain in the room, where, like, he tries to impersonate those officers in the goofy blue uniforms, and, like, the minute he does it, he falls back. Like the way he tries to play that off, it feels like the way he tried to impersonate Cap to mock him. And it was like, that was just the default for him, where it just turns into, you know, so going downstairs to, you know, coordinate search and rescue. Like that same, like, robotic, where he's like, I have a prisoner, and those, the higher ups said to put her aboard, sir. You know, it was funny. And then the fact that he has to rely on Sylvie to get him from point A to point B. I I also like the way that it feels like they're hybridizing female Loki with Enchantress. I think that's an interesting decision there. It's nothing new for the MCU to take two characters and just kind of, squish them together to get a sometimes more interesting version of an existing antagonist. I saw a little bit of discourse that I don't personally agree with, just because it's kind of been established that Loki can use some form of telekinesis. People were theorizing that whenever he catches the tower and pushes it back up, that he might be using a time stone that he pocketed. No. Just because it looks like he reattaches the tower.
But doesn't... No, because he'd have to even when Thanos did it, the wheel popped up in his hand, right?
Yeah, where he's doing the
thing. Yeah, nah, I don't think so.
There's no green stuff. That was my thing. And now, if they had his
green
telekinesis,
in 3 months they're gonna go back, change the episode, and there'll be a fucked up lens flare next to his hand where it looks like there's a green spark.
People will be debating as to whether if it's green enough to actually be the time.
No. See, that's lime green. See, that's the y-axis. We're looking for the time axis. That's a nice forest green.
Forest green. But yeah, no. And that was my thing, is that it doesn't even look like the smoke or the dust that's coming from that tower coming down is reversing back up inside of the tower either.
Yeah, that he just pushed the tower back up.
He just pushed it back up. And it looks cool. I think that
whole sequence is really sweet because it's the single take thing with them, which is always the best sequence in any show.
It's
the best. It's the best fight sequences in the first two seasons of Daredevil.
Got very British for a second
there. Yeah,
that's the series, mate.
It's the best fight in Creed. It's the best sequence, not the best sequence in Black Panther, but one of the best sequences in Black Panther. I need more Ryan Coogler in my life, because he loves his single take action set pieces, which I'm all about.
Give Ryan Coogler a Star Wars.
Ooh,
I want a single take lightsaber duel. I want listen. This is going to be, and I'm talking about another Star Wars related thing in a second here with regards to Loki. There have been some of the best. I'm going to say it. Hot take on the Not Star Wars show. All of the best fights in Star Wars, in some way, shape, or form, are ruined by abysmal editing. The Battle of the Heroes, it is way too up close. And there's so much documentation as to how well Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen knew that choreography.
Mm-hmm.
And almost all of because on the Revenge of the Sith bonus features, there's an entire 2-hour documentary just about making the duel in Mustafar.
Yep, I watched that as a kid, man. It was I wanted to build my own lightsaber thing because of it. I was watching tutorials on YouTube. I was like, I'm going to shave down this metal pipe and add all these things to it. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a dowel rod in it. And
I'm going to buy you a lightsaber kit now for your birthday. But that fight gets ripped to shreds because it's all these super close-up shots. One of my favorite duels of all time now, the Rey and Kylo's fight on Kethbir in The Rise of Skywalker. That's a really cool fight, the way it's choreographed, and they have really cool moments in it. I wish it was closer, or I wish it was further, rather. I wish it wasn't so close up in some shots. I wish we had further. I wish we had more wide shots. I wish it went on for a little bit. I wish the shot composition was more interesting. Give me a one-take lightsaber duel. Anyway, fun little Easter egg with regards to the scene where they're running for their lives. Did you notice that the moon is the Death Star?
No.
So if you go back and look, when the moon is closing in, and this is confirmed to be intentional, there is a giant crater hole in like the top left corner, and the equator of the planet is sunken in just enough that it has like the like circle line dish that it looks like the Death Star is colliding with the planet. I like that a lot. Because I saw it, I was like, that looks like the Death Star. But I'm a Star Wars fan first and foremost, so I'm going to assume. Yeah. When you're a Star Wars fan, everything looks like Death Star. When you're a Hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I didn't want to put too much stock in that and like commit to it and then be disappointed when they were like, oh yeah, it was a happy accident. But it's clearly shaped like the Death Star. I also
vamp for like 2 minutes. I can still hear you. I need to pee.
Go pee. I have been loving seeing Tom Hiddleston really get to put in some work as an action-oriented actor in this so far. We don't really get a whole lot of white-knuckled action with Loki, and that's not his character. You're not really supposed to, in theory. You know, we see him do a little stabby and Ragnarok, and we see him, get beat up by Thor, and we do a little bit of a fight in Thor, the first Thor. But Loki's never been like a super action-packed character. And seeing him both in episode 2 with the fight with all the different people that Sylvie's possessing, and now this episode with like the high flung, like he's running and doing and like knocking dudes over, and the fight inside of the train car, all of that stuff. It's really cool getting to see him get more into that side of things and get to be the action hero in a way. I think it's just a really fun development for him that now that he's put in this situation, he kind of has to act a little bit more like Thor and be more of the, out on the front line, doing stuff, doing fisticuffs. Come on, Sylvie. It's a fun new look on him, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Perfect.
Pardon me. Oh, just as I ran out of stuff to say.
I could hear you the whole time, but I agree. The action in the show is actually like really sweet, and I like that Loki can't always keep up, and he gets kicked around a little bit sometimes.
I'm surprised we don't have Sylvie's like venting screech as a reaction gif all over Twitter yet. Like, I'm surprised we haven't just seen that. Do you feel better? Yes, I do actually. I love Sylvie so far. I'm okay. Like I said, I have no idea what comes next with this show. However, I do feel like we're moving in a direction where obviously the main TVA agents, your Mobiuses, your Hunter B13, 13 or 15, whichever it is, the one that is it's having margaritas with Sylvie in her mind, that got taken captive in episode 2.
C20, I think.
C20.
Maybe.
I don't think they're culpable. Renslayer? Kang the Conqueror's squeeze from the comics? Sus.
Quite.
She is too high up, it feels like. And is talking.
The fact that people go to her to ask her about what the timekeepers are doing.
And I don't like it. And the whole, everybody within the TVA are just variants. My Kang is the only timekeeper who's actually still alive theory. That Kang the Conqueror is a timekeeper, and he's the only one who still has a pulse. I'm feeling good. Like, I don't feel like I'm throwing darts really hard the way I was for Mephisto right now. Like, I feel like I have a chance.
It's like you're going to be some percentage of correct that isn't 0. You know?
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll absolutely take not 0% correct. Whether or not we actually see, the fact that it's Renslayer and that she is just like canonically connected to Kang.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like too much of a deliberate choice. That feels too right there. It is trying to tell us, look out for Kang the Conqueror in some way. But that's predictions. Predictions. I am not counting on being entirely right, but I feel like we're on the cusp of something. And I cannot believe that we are halfway through this show.
Yeah, it feels weird.
It really does.
And I guess that's like people are saying this episode's filler, but like something in it's going to be relevant. Like the fact that they connected the way they did.
It might just be the fact that they like trust each other on some level now.
Yeah, or they understand each other better. Like that's going to become relevant at a choice Loki has to make later. Like that wouldn't make sense if they only had 10 minutes of what they had in this episode. This was also like by a wide margin the shortest episode so far.
Yeah. Okay. Insane theory. Not one that I plan on standing by. Just one that I want to posit. Perhaps because we know that variants can take different shapes and forms. You know, like they show in the first episode, that same guy who was late for work could also have been built like a brick shithouse, have an eye patch, all that stuff. What if Lady Thor in Thor Love and Thunder is a Thor variant and not the mainline MCU Jane Foster? And that this version of Loki, Sylvie, who has since changed her name, is just coming from a gender-bent MCU timeline.
Interesting theory.
Again, I'm almost certainly wrong. It's probably just going to be Jane Foster is worthy. She picks up the hammer, and every time she's Thor, she's cured of her cancer briefly, and then she puts the hammer down and she gives up the powers, and she's back to being ill. That will probably be what they do. I hope that's what they do, but I think it would be neat if
she shows up from a time portal and
yeah. I'm probably wrong. I'm almost certainly wrong. Also, this is related to Thor Love and Thunder. Wasn't a big enough story to include a week or two ago when it happened. But now that we're talking about it, we saw the wrap gifts that the Love and Thunder cast were given. Thor, his armor looks pretty much like his Thor the Dark World getup, which is arguably one of his best. And so most of them, the way it looks like how that's basically how the movie's going to be billed is it's Hemsworth Thor, Jane Foster Thor, which looks pretty much comic accurate, which at this point I'd be stunned if she
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, the only way for you to surprise me is to give me a bad costume at this point, and Valkyrie. So I think that's our top billing for Love and Thunder. But anyway, the little tangential Thor idea that I'm probably wrong about. But yeah, very excited for where the rest of the season's going. This season, hopefully, again, depending on how this ends, I wouldn't mind a season 2. Especially if we don't know if Loki's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. I can't remember hearing any reports that Tom Hiddleston was ever seen on set. I don't think he was ever.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember ever hearing that he was officially going to be in Love and Thunder. So, I wouldn't hate it if Loki just kind of became his own thing and eventually maybe crosses back over with Thor. Because I don't see Hemsworth going anywhere, honestly. I think he's here to stay for a hot minute.
Yeah. I don't know that we'd get a season 2 of Loki, right? I like the idea that these shows are in their own way building into the movies and like building up to something else. That like Iron Man 3 is not a direct sequel to Iron Man 2. And as such probably shouldn't be called Iron Man 3. It's one of the reasons I like the fact that the sequels don't have numbers anymore. Right?
Oh my god. If there's one thing I'd be retroactively okay with,
it's changing the titles to not
it's changing the titles of the Iron Man movies. Like, I would be so okay with like just
if
changing
it was Iron Man the best one, and then Iron Man Get Over It.
I'm trying to think about which one. You know what would be really cool for like retroactive
flip too.
I'm
you
laughing
flip those titles and it'd be right.
Yeah. Is that maybe this is stupid, like retroactively? Because if I'm not mistaken, the first Thor movie has a subtitle in some countries and doesn't in others. Or not a subtitle, but like in other countries, it was The Mighty Thor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing marketing that was like The Mighty Thor and not just Thor. I kind of would love if they went back and retroactively for like all the Phase 1 movies. Or maybe just the first for everybody since Iron Man gets 2 in Phase 1. That it'd be like Iron Man, Armored Avenger, Thor, the Mighty Avenger.
Like the Iron Man or something.
What?
Oh, right, because the first Avenger. Right. Yeah. I got it. I was going to say, have it be like their comics, like the Invincible Iron Man, the Mighty Thor. I want to have one for Hulk. Oh, the Incredible Hulk. It's already
it's already a movie thing. Exactly.
I haven't seen that movie. I wouldn't know.
Hey, you're gonna have to before Shang-Chi comes out. You have to.
I know who Abomination is.
Listen,
I know what happens.
Listen. Incredible Hulk. I will die on this hill. I said it on Twitter. I got clowned. I got clowned by some of our comic book pals. I said it in the Comic Book Cast Facebook group. I will say it until I am blue in the face or green in the face, I guess. Incredible Hulk is the most underrated movie in the MCU. End of discussion. It is Incredible Hulk. It deserves more credit. It's just fun. And if it weren't for Universal, we would have already seen
what you're saying
the
is
leader.
It's your Aquaman.
Listen, I already have an Aquaman, and that's Batman v Superman. unless what we're saying is that, like, okay, because like Aquaman is like, I don't think anybody can like look at Aquaman and be like, and not that like, you know, you can call something like objectively bad because all art is subjective, blah blah blah. But I don't think you can, in good faith, look at Aquaman and wholeheartedly with like a really, 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 really good argument go, bad movie. I don't think you can do that with Aquaman. You can absolutely do that to Batman v Superman. I don't think you can do bad movie
to Hulk,
to Incredible Hulk. I don't think you can.
I haven't seen it, and I'd agree with you that like that's not the things I hear about it. It's just that nobody ever watches it, you know,
because it feels so disconnected. Because there's the actor change, and they drop like 8 plot points the second Bruce Banner becomes an Avenger. Because they tee up the leader and they cue up Doc Samson. There's so many Hulk characters who get like a potential introduction, but also our favorite teacher, the not JB Smoove teacher, he has his first appearance in Incredible Hulk.
That's true. He's one of the tech guys. I did know that.
Yeah, he is trying his best then, and he is trying his best.
Trying his best now, Julius.
Julius.
Now I want to watch Spider-Man again. Now I want to watch Far From Home again.
Listen, I'm going to say this right now. You could have Tobey Maguire show up in a red and black suit as Superior Spider-Man, if JB Smoove is not in Far or No Way Home, I'm giving it an F.
F.
I'm saying that right now. Like, I want both of them, but mostly JB Smoove.
It's witches.
Is witches. He's not wrong. He wasn't wrong, Travis.
That movie just knew everything that was coming before we did.
I want you know how they did the one shots, like the little short films for a minute. I so badly want a short film that is Julius like at some type of like cryptozoology, like
he's on
like,
some like Salem
crypto
tour.
physics, right? Like conference, and he's responding to the Westview anomaly. Like I told you, it's witches. It's witches. God damn it! Now I gotta watch Far From Home tonight too. When I said one of when referring to Suicide Squad, the most fun I've ever had seeing a movie with you was Far From Home. Like we were on exactly the same wavelength the entire evening, up to and including like having the exact perfect reaction to the Spies in Disguise trailer. Like that is on the list of times. I wish anybody watching or listening, I wish I could have taken you with us, because I need everybody to know we're like this when there's none of like even when there's not a microphone in front of us. This is what we're like, where it's just a brain cell all the time, and we share it. And if one gets too far away, it's like the old Lego games where you start getting dragged around a little bit, but mentally. That like just I need you to unbird me, Walter. Like I went lightheaded laughing, and it was because you were laughing as hard as I was laughing, so I was laughing harder. I hope a sequel to Spies in Disguise is in development that I just don't know about, and it has a trailer attached to No Way Home.
Or they just run the trailer again for like
just run the trailer.
Remember this?
Oh no, I would be gone if they just hit us with the Spies in Disguise trailer for no reason, just zero reason at all, other than just like, hey, y'all remember Walter? Do you remember being birded?
Well, what about being going to be unbirded?
He was birded with glorious purpose. And I will let that be the last word of the show.
You can find me at Travis Political on Twitter and Instagram. Being birded. Jarod, where?
Guys, I can't tell you the last time I shaved 3 years off of Travis's life with a shitty joke. Like, I was expecting you to disavow me for a second. Like, I was preparing for it. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram being birded with glorious purpose.
Glorious birdpus.
Purpose. Somebody make a Spies in Disguise Loki crossover art, please. I'm begging you.
It's just a pigeon with a Loki crown.
Yeah, it's just a pigeon wearing a Loki.
And he's pecking at the Mind Stone.
I don't even have like a modicum or like a sliver of an idea as to what the actual plot of that movie is. So I can't make any further jokes outside of the idea that I just want it.
Wait, oh yeah, you didn't see it. No, the entire plot is that scene. The entire plot is that scene. It's just unburden me, Walter, again and again. It doesn't stop being funny.
We're going to do that from Movie Club. We're going to do Spies in Disguise on Movie Club. That's a promise.
I think it's on HBO Max.
I just realized I don't think we've done any animated movies on Movie Club yet. That will change. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you feel generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, pardon me, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Brian, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Zach Knaus. You guys help us make the content we love to produce. Be sure to consider the $5 tier where you get access to Heroic History 101, the versus Knights of the Nerd Republic versus series. Darth Treya versus Yoda will be out sometime in July. Hopefully same with Heroic History 101, Batman 3 Jokers. Hopefully maybe in August. We're trying to get back to it. Our schedules are a nightmare, and we're camping in like 2 weeks. So also, Movie Club is going to be getting back in action here soon with Indiana Jones. I'm going to get as much as that in before we go camping as we can. So stay tuned for that. Audio commentaries go up to the $5 tier, and just like Campus Life, $10 patrons get Movie Club early. So keep your eyes out for that. Be sure to check out the student store link on our website. We can get all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies. I don't know if it'll still be running by the time this episode is out, but TeePublic is running a sale for the end of Pride Month. So stuff might still be on sale. So go look, and happy hunting. With that, we are honored that you have joined us, and class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!